Welcome to the Elaborate Topics podcast, where we focus on lab-specific strategies for medical laboratory professionals. We're proud to be the healthcare detectives that work behind the scenes to get the results needed to influence medical decisions. Let's grow together and jump right into the lab.
Welcome to another episode of Elaborate Topics. I am your host and leadership mentor for this episode, Tywauna Wilson. Elaborate Topics is a weekly podcast that gives you leadership and technical strategies for medical laboratory professionals to excel inside and outside of the laboratory. Myself, with my co-hosts Lona Small and Stephanie Whitehead, bring you these practical strategies week after week with some of our amazing guests. If this is your first time tuning into the podcast, welcome. I am so excited that you landed on this podcast today. If you could do me a favor and share this episode out with a friend, with a colleague, with anybody you feel could benefit from listening to the show, would be awesome, and we would greatly appreciate it. If you are returning guest or subscriber to this podcast, thank you so much for continuing to listen to us week after week. I'm pretty excited about today's episode. I thought it would be great to get back to the basics, to get back to being happy at work with so much change, so much stress and overwhelm in our workplace today. It's best that we get back to those things that just make us happy about going to work. In a recent Gallup poll, 50% of the U.S. population said that they were disengaged at work. Basically, they're saying that they are checked out. And, that makes me sad that the majority of the people that are working today are not happy. They're not happy in the workplace, and they're just not happy. And that makes me sad. And I think it makes me sad because we spend the majority of our time away from our families and at work. So when I was thinking about this topic of being happy or at work or becoming happier at work, I thought about my dog Rocky. And I know you're thinking, like, what does a dog have to do with anything? Well, dogs can teach you a lot. So my family had a pet named Rocky. We had him for 4.5 years. He was a French Mastiff. So this was a big dog, pretty big dog. And Rocky was so loving and attentive, and he was just happy. Even when we weren't doing anything, Rocky was just happy to be around the family. He was happy to be in our home. He was happy to get out and go for walks. And it just made us happy seeing Rocky be so happy. It would be funny when we would take him on the block for walks, and he's a big dog, 120 pounds, and people would look, but he would greet everybody he would see, and he would stop and look, and he was like the gentle giant, and my daughter just loved having Rocky in the home. Unfortunately for us and for my family, Rocky passed away last year, and so that has been that breath of fresh air is missing from our home in the sense of Rocky. So we definitely love and miss Rocky to this day. But when I was thinking about our relationship with Rocky and having him in our family for 5 years, we had him since he was like 6 weeks old, I think, is when we got him. But I thought about the amazing learning lessons that you could get from a dog. Sometimes as technical people, as scientists, as medical laboratory professionals, we make things too complicated. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. Let's keep it simple. We can keep it very simple. And I'll just use that analogy of Rocky just to give you some practical tips of how you can be happier at work. And it'll also allow you to move ahead in your career. So I'm going to give you, some tips of just try to think more like a dog. Yes, like a dog. And see if it helps you out. I'll be interested to know if these tips, if you feel like they do help you out. You could leave a note in the comments. You can email us. But I would be interested to know if you feel like some of these practical tips are helpful. But one of the things that I have learned from Rocky is that can help in our work environment is to be able to show your enthusiasm. Learn to love what you're doing. And I know it's like I've been doing this for years, it's become routine, but you have to remind yourself of its purpose and why you're there, whether it's to provide for your family, whether it's, of course, to take care of our patients. But sometimes getting back to the basic of why you're even there in the first place makes you feel better and happier about that. And sometimes just smiling will make you feel more joyful in the morning. Just, it'll help you get through the day. So showing your enthusiasm, because once you start putting and feeding into that negative energy, like, oh, it's Monday, oh, it's Tuesday, I'm here, then that starts to set the tone for your day. So showing your enthusiasm, why you're happy to be there, why you're excited about being in the workplace will definitely start to improve your work environment, and it will make your day happier. So just like Rocky would show his enthusiasm when we would play with him, when we would spend time with him, you can do the same thing with your colleagues. When you are around them, be happy. Use positive words, have affirmations, do whatever it takes. When I go to work in the morning, I always say good morning to people. And one of the things that I do is I try and smile at people, although we're still wearing our mask and things like that. But you can still kind of smile with your eyes, because you just never know what somebody else could be going through. And just your positive energy might rub off on them. Which kind of leads me into the second thing that dogs do is they greet everybody. Now, sometimes they can feel that energy may not be good, but they do greet everybody that they meet. So if you have a dog or family pet at home, and when you have guests that come to your house, what does your dog do when you have a guest come over? They get up and they greet your guests. They will go to the door. They like, I need to sniff out who is it that's coming in this house, and they greet everybody. And so think about if we did that in the workplace, as you're walking down the hall and you're passing one of your colleagues or passing a patient. Think about if we took the time to greet everybody. Take the time to wish everyone a good morning before you settle down to your task. Here's the thing. Your relationships with your coworkers play a huge role in your job satisfaction. And I cannot say that enough. Your relationships with your coworkers play a huge role in your job satisfaction. So create a friendly atmosphere by exchanging those daily pleasantries. I know I walk past a certain person every day, and I always say a good morning, and they like, is it a good morning? And I'm thinking to myself, it's a great morning, because I woke up this morning. Somebody didn't. And I'm happy to be here. I could be somewhere else, and I'm happy to be here, because this is, my purpose is here. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being around the people that I work around. And so I want to exude that same kind of energy that, and hopefully it'll, one day, I'm not giving up on the fella, but one day maybe he'll have something different besides I'm here. I woke up. Like, sometimes what we say, waking up, trust me, is not a bad thing. Waking up is a great thing, actually. So even if that's, hard for you, you kind of think of maybe a canned response that you use. When people ask me, how are you doing? I say, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing great. And which I am, and I have one of my mentors, every time I say, well, how you doing today? It's like, it's always a great day. And so that even if I was having a bad day, after I talk with him, then I feel otherwise. I feel like, what? Maybe the day started out a little rocky, but, now it is a good day. So think about that as the dogs do, as they greet everybody. It doesn't hurt to speak to someone. It doesn't hurt to say hello to someone. Another thing that I got from Rocky that I thought that Rocky did very well is he was supportive, even as a dog. I can remember not feeling well and just kind of laying on the couch. And I can remember Rocky coming under my feet and laying at the bottom of the couch, just laying there with me, being that comforter. And when I think about in the workplace and ways that you can make it happy, I think about that and lending others your support. Sometimes we get so busy in the day to day and things that we're doing that we have our colleagues who are in need of our help, in need of our support. Maybe they're struggling on their bench to keep up. Maybe they're having instrument issues, but lending others your support. Taking a break from your own concerns to notice how your colleagues may be feeling. Especially, we all know how it is when QC isn't working, you got an instrument problem, you got stats that's backing up, and often the stress levels start to get high and you get overwhelmed and might even get frustrated. And so think about that when you see your colleague going through that. Offer your assistance and encouragement. Sometimes it's just, do you need me to pull your pending list? Do you need me to make up QC for you? Do you need me to, whatever it is that you may need them to do? And I'm sure they'll appreciate it. They'll feel good about you helping them out, but you will also feel good about helping them out. And people will be more likely to reciprocate when you need a hand, because there's going to be a time, trust me, there's going to be a time when your instrument is going to be down. You cannot get QC in. You got the phone ringing off the hook and you are trying to keep up, but it seems like it doesn't matter what you're doing. Things are not working out. And so lending others your support will help make you happier in the workplace, because when you're in that point of needing help, then others will do the same. So lending your support is a great thing that I got from Rocky, of just being there, and sometimes it's not even doing anything. Sometimes it's just being a gentle voice, a gentle spirit, just a gentle, creating that positive energy around. I think about Rocky and I think about when we would go for walks in the park, especially if it was like very early in the morning. Dogs are very instinctive. Like, they know what's going on. They can sense if something is off. And I can remember going to the park and having my daughter, and I had my daughter, the stroller, and I had Rocky, and we were walking in the park, and there was this guy that looked a little bit odd. He looked a little bit strange. He was coming close, and Rocky had that instinct to know, I'm not sure if this man is, just trying to get by. I don't know if he's, trying to do something that would put us into an unsafe position. But Rocky was a gentle giant, but during this time, he moved into full-blown protector to make sure that we were fine, and he followed his instincts. And there was something about that man that was kind of off. And so Rocky barked at him, and the man kind of went on about his way. So I don't know if he was going to try anything or not, but with Rocky, with us being 120 pounds, he did not try anything. And it made me think about when you're in the workplace of just following your instincts. Like, Rocky knew something was off with that gentleman. He knew that, he didn't have an aura that seemed like it was something of caring for myself and my daughter. And so Rocky went into that protector mode. And when you're in the workplace, just like Rocky did, of following his instincts of, I'm going into protector mode, you have to follow your instincts as well when you're in the workplace. And you're probably saying, Tywauna, Coach T, what do you mean by that? Well, sometimes you have to respond to unfamiliar situations without much time to prepare. We know that happens a lot. Healthcare, the laboratory industry is a rapidly changing environment right now. We learned that with COVID. and everything that had to get done in order to do COVID testing and all of that. But trust your instincts when you need to take a risk. And in order to be happy in the work environment, sometimes you're going to have to take those risks. So whether it's your first time giving a presentation at a staff meeting, you could boost your confidence by adapting what you already know from your days of being a student doing clinicals or working from another employer, or what you do in the community. And so following your instincts helps to create a happier work environment, because it allows you to take more risk. It allows you to go for opportunities that you might not have went for originally, right? A lead tech opportunity come up. Maybe you can't check all the boxes, but you're going to follow your instinct and you say, I know that I can do the job. I feel like my technical skills translate to this. I know this kind of role would make me happier. And so you are going to take that risk. Becoming happier at work is not just about the emotional of getting along with my coworkers or anything like that. Sometimes it's being happier at work because I'm taking some bold moves and moving my career forward, or I'm taking some bold moves and working on a project that I've been wanting to work on. And the last thing that I will leave you with today on some of the tips that I've learned from a dog that I've learned from Rocky is being able to bounce back from some of the conflicts that occur in the workplace to keep a happier environment. So if we go back to that example of when we were in the park and when we were walking and a strange man kind of walked up to Rocky and my daughter, kind of walked by us, and Rocky sensed something that might have been off. We've had since been back to that park. We didn't let that one bad experience or potentially bad experience stop us from going to the park. And we would still go to the park, and Rocky didn't say, or kind of have that feeling like, well, every time we go to this park, there's going to be some strange man that's going to run up. It was pretty much like every day is a new day. It's a new day to walk around the dog track. It's a new day, new people to bark at. And if you think about us in the workplace and our conflict, think about bouncing back from conflict and not holding grudges. What happened yesterday happened yesterday. Let's move on and move forward. Being able to put any unpleasant experiences behind you will demonstrate your willingness really to cooperate with everybody to help get the job done. So just because your manager made a bad decision, don't mean you need to hold that against them for your entire career, right? Because what happens when you do that is that it begins to hold you down. And now you begin to hold a grudge, you begin to have animosity, you begin to have bad energy, and now you're dreading coming to work, you have a negative attitude about it all, and now you're not happy because of something that happened 10 years ago, something that happened 5 years ago. And I know it sounds like people don't hold grudges that long. I can tell you, I've worked with people and they will mention something that happened 20 years ago. Well, I don't do this because this is what happened. Such and such did this. And that person is long gone to another employer, retired, or whatever the case may be. But they were holding on to that conflict or that, poor situation that they never could move forward. So being able to bounce back and from conflict more quickly. Don't take it personal. Let's move forward. So when you are in the workplace, think about Rocky and think about how he was able to move forward even though he had a negative experience with somebody. He was able to move forward and continue with his normal life until he passed away last year. So to recap some of the amazing advice that you can learn from your dog or Rocky or any dog really that will help you in the workplace, help you become happier at work, is to be able to show your enthusiasm. Be happy that you're there because you're there for a reason. Whatever that reason is, be happy about it. So showing your enthusiasm and learn to love what you do. If you have, if it has become routine, then find a way to reinvent your work so that you fall in love with it again. Greet everybody in your environment. This is very simple and it will make a huge difference on your day of just speaking with people and having that conversation with people, because we all at the end of the day want and like to be connected with others. And it starts by simple phrases like, hi, good morning, how are you? How are you doing today? So greeting everybody is something else that dogs do really, really well. Following your instincts. So being able to take those risks, being able to know, especially when you are troubleshooting in the environment, troubleshooting your instruments, thinking about applying for a different role, following your instincts to be bold, to do something different, to move yourself forward in a way that makes you happy. Don't wait for life to happen. Don't wait for your career to happen. Make it happen. And that starts by following your instincts on what do you want to do next and what makes you happy. Lending your support to others, because there's going to be a time when you will need that support. Helping somebody out is great for the team. Together, we are better. So think of ways that you are able to help out your colleagues, that you are able to be a support for your colleagues, because you never know. It could be just, your positive energy. It could be just your smile. It could be helping with maintenance for the day. It could be following up on a pending log. It could be making QC, but lending your support will add to a happier and healthier work environment. And being able to bounce back from conflicts and not holding on to grudges. Again, what happened 20 years ago happened 20 years ago. Don't let that negative energy or that bad experience go into each and every day for you moving forward. You definitely don't. There are many other things that can make your day go awry. And going back on something that happened 20 years ago is not the way to have a happier and healthier work environment. So I hope you were able to get some practical tips that you are able to use in your work environment that you can actually start applying today so that you can be a little bit happier as you go into your work day, as you go into your work week, and ways where you can constantly make your work a happier place for you. After all, you do spend most of your time there. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Elaborate Topics. Again, make sure you share this podcast out with anybody who could benefit from listening to it. Look at your colleagues, look at your coworkers. If they look like they are not happy, they probably need to listen to these practical tips. Don't forget to subscribe. You can do so at directimpactbroadcasting.com and catch up on all our other episodes. We have over 50 episodes to date, and we have surpassed being in business for 1 year as a podcast. So we did that. We launched our first show May of 2020. So very excited about that. And you all are still listening. You can also subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, any of those channels that work for you. And until next time, have an amazing yet happy week.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Elaborate Topics, where your hosts discussed relevant strategies for laboratory professionals. Please subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and listen to us on directimpactbroadcasting.com. Stay tuned for another episode with information you can use to excel in your laboratory career.